Good morning to our student and family empowerment coordinators. This is a quick PL session campus choice conclusions as we have all been going through the approval process using our brand new checklist. Remember that the one that we are using is actually the one that was sent out by Miss Sandra. And I'm going to bring that up real quick just so that you can see it so that you know which one it is. Yesterday it was sent out by Miss Sandra, and I noticed a couple of the differences. And the first one I wanted to remind everybody is to please add the PL review date here at the top. That way we know when it's being reviewed. And then, of course, if there are multiple dates or sessions that you are going to be doing, especially since these are all campus choice, please go ahead and make sure that you do that. As you're making your way through. You've got your title, you've got your sessions. Of course, here is really where we're putting more of the information, especially as we are getting it printed. As you can see, I am behind. I still have several that I need to get done, but it's really been very helpful as we are meeting together and going over everything. I did have revisions that needed to be made to the PowerPoint and to other documents, and so that was reviewed today. And then remember, this is, of course, our decision tree. Let's go ahead and head back though to the reason that I'm sending this out, and this is the best way for us to be able to collaborate and to stay consistent. The first thing on the first slide of all of our PL sessions, we are not putting a specified date. We're going to go ahead and stick with the actual title, and then 2019-2020 Student and Family Empowerment. Please make sure that you are putting minutes on every slide so that whether it is another facilitator or one of our participants is rolling it out, we want to make sure that we are letting them know how long each slide will take. And then please also make sure that you have notes. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So the next one is notes for PL facilitators. Begin with the minutes assigned to the slide. Include description that as if a presenter is executing a lesson plan. And we'll look at an example of that as we move along. 3 signature practices. Remember that the basics, this is part of what our non-negotiables are for our PL sessions. If you are using a ritual, activity, or closure from the playbook, copy and paste the information for future presenters to fully understand the protocol. And so this is actually the link. Remember, if you right-click it, you can open the hyperlink. And it's going to say, do you really want to open that? And of course I do. It's going to take me directly to the signature practices, and just to help you all understand, remember that whether or not it's in the playbook doesn't really matter. What matters is that we have the basics. And so we're going to go ahead and just do a quick right click and copy it just so you can see how it's done. And I'm going to come over here and I'm just showing you how to do it. And I'm going to right click it and I'm going to do a paste. And so this can be included if you have a welcoming ritual that is not part of the playbook. Of course, that's okay. But the point is to make sure that they know why are we doing a welcoming ritual, engaging activity, or optimistic closure. So this is an example of what your notes could look like. My welcoming ritual in one of my PLs is talk about what's new. Please remember that if this is not included, if the title is not included, then it should say something like welcoming ritual, talk about what's new. That way we know what is the title of what we're actually doing. I did not need to do that because the title is actually within the picture. So I'm leaving it at welcoming ritual. Miss Sandra says that it doesn't really matter if you have welcoming ritual here at the top or you have it here at the bottom. It doesn't really matter. Whatever works for you works for us. I'm going to put that back. There we go. And I'm going to turn it back to black. All right. Engaging activity. This is also part of our 3 signature practices. And just please remember, if you can see down here, there are explicit notes that are included. Please don't think for a second that I was the one that was typing all of this up. If you recall, I talked about the playbook. And so in the playbook is where I found my talk about what's new. I don't remember the exact page it was on, but let's just say that you're doing 4 corners. You can again come over here. You're going to do a right click. You're going to hit the copy note, and then you're going to take it back to where your slide notes are. And you're going to come over here and you're going to do a right click again, and you're going to paste that text in there. And so now I have for four corners, I have all my notes. It is not rocket science. It is just knowing where to go. So I hope this is helpful for some of you as you're getting ready to head into your review sessions. For the optimistic closure, it's just a little bit of more of the same. If you notice, I have my optimistic closure. I've got my key takeaway. I do not need to put the title because it's part of my image. And so again, down here in the notes is explicit instructions on how to get it done. Next, SEL connection slide for SEL PLs. This is new because Miss Angelica did an awesome job, a super awesome job on helping us make the connection between our content and whatever it is that we're teaching. In her case, she was doing mindfulness, and we're going to define how it applies and supports the competencies. So let's take a look at the next slide. When we look at that slide, you'll be able to see it. It is this slide right here, but no worries. We're going to actually Okay, so I got cut off right at the end of this slide here. As we were saying, if you notice here, we are mindfulness practices build our social and emotional competencies in the following ways. So just remember that whatever you are presenting on, if it is growth mindset or it is SEL and PLC, whatever it is, how is that or that session going to build the social emotional competencies? And then here you'd be able to change it because this, of course, is based on mindfulness. You can change all of these to include how it applies to yours, and then you'll be able to implement that in the in your slideshow. This particular slide actually goes right after, and I want to show you real quick so that we know exactly where it is supposed to go. That one is going right after building. Well, just to correct myself, it is for beginning with the end in mind. That is going to go right after. So this one right here is making the connection to the SEL competencies right after. You're not building nothing. You are going to be beginning with the end in mind. Next, please, let's make sure I have already created all of the participant resource checks that you're going to need. This is not a check for you to go cash at the bank. This is definitely one of those checks that we do as we are getting ready to let our participants know where can they find all of these wonderful PL session resources that are associated with what we're doing. And so I went ahead and did one. This one is our PBIS one, so you can copy and paste it if you are doing a PBIS session. If you are doing an SEL session, you might need all three of these. This is SEL for cohort 1. Here is SEL for cohort 2. Here is SEL for cohort 3. And on the off chance you ever need SEL for cohort 4, there it is. These are just copy and paste for you in your PowerPoints. Finally, I guess I shouldn't say finally, but we also want for all of us at the very end. This is going to be after you guys do your evaluation, after you do your optimistic closure. The final piece is going to be up while your wonderful music plays. And so this right here is really more for our PL facilitators that are within our department, or somebody that needs to contact. Let's say, for an example, they just got the SEL on mindfulness and they really want to engage with their families at their next family engagement meeting. They'd be able to see, okay, as I can see, I've got so-and-so that are linked together. These are my family engagement coordinators. These are my SEL coordinators. The other thing that I had sent out yesterday was the facilitator and participant agendas. And so we talked about making sure that, of course, our participant agendas are pretty self-explanatory. These are the facilitator agendas. Please make sure that your facilitator column stays blank because multiple facilitators will be a part of these scheduled trainings. Make sure that AM session times, our case, it was 8, it began at 8 a.m. and was over at 11 a.m. But a majority of ours, our campus choices are from 8:30 to 11:30, and then 12:30 to 3:30. So just keep in mind that you will need to make modifications based on what you are doing, but keep our AM in black, our PM in blue. And again, just make sure that as you guys are working your way through that we're staying consistent on our formatting. There have been different questions about the professional learning session summaries. I sent those out yesterday. I sent out several different examples of what our PL session summaries should be. And so just to give one more final, remember that we're looking at the summary of the content in which you delivered that day. So in my case, this is one of the examples that I sent out. It was for our PBIS Resource Guide, second edition. That manual is 162 pages long, but I went ahead and included the main sections here. And so it seems like a very long summary. However, many of them are not this long. Please bear in mind that it does not need to meet the exact. Please make sure that yours also include the PL session checklist and what you are doing with the participants throughout the PL session. And then the final one, remember that this is for them to begin their planning and their rollout. And so here you would have all kinds of it will mimic what you have already done. Now, remember, it's not going to be the exact same thing. Please just leave date blank. You're going to put the amount of minutes approximate, and then the participants will be the ones that come on over here and they say, oh, we're going to roll this out in PLC, and they're going to start adding their stuff. So you're going to want to leave stuff blank so that they'll have the opportunity to be able to do that. So how do we upload our resources into Schoology? This is super important because I know that for some of us, we are, every day I learn a little bit more about Schoology and how amazing it is. So I'm going to go ahead and start by showing you wherever you are. For my upcoming PL session, I am PBIS. It is right here. It's going to be the overview of the PBIS handbook. You can kind of see it here. I also have already uploaded the session summary, which is a whole nother topic. However, so we started with our updates. Now I'm going to go into resources because I have my entire PL session coming up. It has been reviewed and approved. So I'm going to come over to the PBIS Learning for 2019-2020. I've already created the folder because I knew this was happening. So I created the folder. And now I'm going to, because they have all been approved, I'm going to go ahead and add my resources. So I'm going to click on the add resources, and then I'm going to go to add file. It will then take me to a place where I can attach the files from all the wonderful work that I have done. I'm going to go ahead and start with one of the main ones, which is going to be the PBIS Resource Guide PL session for our participants. So I'm going to hit the open. Now you can do it one at a time if you want. I usually do that. SFEPL Design Checklist Overview. Okay, this is not something I'm uploading because this has to do with the SFE checklist. The resource guide has already been uploaded. The PBIS resource guide in PowerPoint has also been already uploaded. The chart, this is the Wonderings chart. This is one of the handouts that I'm going to be using, so I definitely want to open that one. I'm now going to go ahead and add those two and continue adding resources that apply to what I am doing during that PL. Again, you hit the attach. You're going to find whatever it is that you're looking for adding. I also had a SMART goal handout that I want to add. I've got one more that I'm going to make sure is in there, and that has to do with our PL session summaries, which for some reason I always have a hard time finding my stuff. I need to PBS PL. Nope, that's not it. Cancel. I'm going to go ahead and add it. And again, all you're doing is you're adding the different resources that are being provided for our participants within your session. Once all of your resources are in there for your particular training, then you are done. And I want to show you just a real quick trick. Okay, now that you have finished uploading all of your stuff, for many of us, when we are doing an SEL training, we need to put it into multiple places. Okay, so I mentioned this because now, really, once you do it one time, there's a real quick and easy way to put them into another group. So if you recall, I am teaching you guys right now on the PBIS one that is upcoming for me. Everything is already there. So I'm going to come back over here. You see this little thing here, there's a little wheel. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the copy to. Now I'm going to jump to, I'm in PBIS, but now I want to put it into cohort 1. I'm going to find the 2019-2020 professional learning, and then I'm going to hit the copy button. You can repeat that for all the different groups that it needs to go into. And just to show you how wonderful that works, now I'm going to click on SEL Cohort 1. I'm going to go to the resources. I'm going to click on the 2019-2020, and wabam, there it is, the overview of the PBIS handbook. Again, I know I sound super excited, but it sure saves us a lot of work. If you need any help or you have any questions, please let me know.